playing on.
Gotta play now?
No, Cats in the Cat Litter.
Cats in the cat litter and the silver spoon.
I knew that's exactly where you were going. As soon as I said it, I was like, oh God. I could feel it. I don't know why.
Because you knew it was great.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Book Retorts. I'm Danielle.
I'm Sam.
And this is the podcast where one of us explains a weird piece of media to the other who has no experience with it.
That's me, Danielle, like a baby koala nestled in your pouch. Explain to me what you're gonna be telling me about today.
I don't
give me the world.
I don't like the idea of you in my pouch, Sam.
What's wrong with me in your pouch, Danielle?
No, thank you.
I'm a great pouch mate.
Okay. That got weird real fast.
Oh, I'm sorry, Danielle. You can't handle a little nature.
All right. We're doing nothing koala rated. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Well, what's the point of being here?
I don't know. We are doing kind of, let's say, a Spook Retorts light. Spook Retorts in April.
Oh, okay.
Of the 2021 remake of the first Disney Channel original movie.
Wait, we're doing a remake of a... Oh, boy.
Don't ask me why they remade it. It's called Under Wraps.
Under Wraps.
2021 remake of the 1997 film. It is almost identical, but, you know, with 2021 standards and diversity. So
the first Disney original movie was a pseudo horror movie for kids called Under Wraps.
That's my understanding. I've done limited Googling.
As is our tradition here to do as little research as possible.
But apparently this is like a really big remake. Like everybody, there's like interviews with the cast about how honored they are to be in this remake. So
how honored they are. Wow.
Yeah. My understanding was this was because it was the first original movie from Disney.
Well, that's certainly a choice. Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome. I would have watched the original, but it's harder to find. And honestly, it's funnier that it's a remake of the original and it's pretty much the same movie.
Look, you're going to feed me this DCOM like a mama koala feeds her baby eucalyptus.
Yes, that.
I'm on a roll with the koalas today.
No, thank you. Didn't get any better with time.
Look. You just be glad you're not a koala, because they'll have gonorrhea.
That's accurate.
Yes,
poor
unfortunately.
Koalas.
I know.
All right, so this movie, Sam, it opens with a kid and his babysitter.
Wait,
on
I don't
the
get
couch.
Description?
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh, I forgot.
Wow.
That's the thing.
You're so excited to get into this, Danielle. You forgot our entire format.
Under Wraps description.
That's going to be the opening.
Okay. IMDb for the win.
Okay, give me those two sentences, Danielle. Boy, you tried to put no effort. This shows everyone here the level of effort we put into the show. 12-year-old friends Marshall, Gilbert, and Amy accidentally revive a mummy they discover in a neighbor's basement. Ah, I get the title now.
Hey.
This is why we do these. They affectionately name the mummy Harold and must rush to return him to his resting place before midnight on Halloween. Why? Why any of that? Why is there like a children mummy version of Harry and the Hendersons?
It's so good. Love it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for that brief. Now I think I'm ready to go into it.
Yeah, Under Wraps is a great movie, by the way. The original 1997 film. 2021, also pretty solid, but 97 is a classic for a reason.
Why do you like that one better?
I don't know. I just think it has more of the schmaltz of the 1990s.
Okay, fair enough.
So, as I said, Sam, before you so rudely interrupted for
I'm
description.
sorry. How dare I insist we follow the format of our show?
How dare we?
Oh, God. I'm sorry, Danielle. It'll never happen again.
So it opens with a kid, and his babysitter on the couch. It's bedtime, and the kid doesn't want to go because he saw a monster the other night covered in warts, and he refuses to go to sleep. And the babysitter rolls her eyes and gets up to prove to the kid that the room is safe.
Of course it is.
She enters the room. She's like, nothing here, look. And the door slams shut. The kid takes off, and a very fake, very green, warty monster runs after him.
Is this a movie or is it a dream?
It's a movie!
Okay.
The camera pans out, and we see two kids watching the movie in a theater.
I knew it was one or the other.
One kid nopes out of there and runs outside, his friend calling after him. The kid pulls out his asthma inhaler as his friend arrives, complaining that he's a weedy. The asthma kid states that he doesn't understand why anyone would want to watch a horror movie and be purposefully scared.
Danielle, would you like to explain it to him as a fan of horror movies?
I am not that scared by horror movies, so I would argue that I'm not purposefully scared. But I think it's the idea of overcoming something evil. Perhaps.
Yeah. Well, but people who don't succeed in horror movies.
But they usually do. And the ones where they don't is often the psychological horror, and those are interesting for completely different reasons.
All right, well, I think maybe we have our next short is Danielle's horror breakdown.
They talk about Halloween upcoming, and Asthma Kid says that Halloween doesn't have to be scary. And the non-asthma kid laments that now he'll have to go see the movie again to find out the ending because his friend ran out, and they decide to make their way to the local costume shop.
You remember the times before streaming when you'd have to go to the theater to see the another movie if you missed it?
Yeah, because you don't know when it was going to be on TV.
Exactly.
Those were the days. So the shop seems to be run, or at least staffed, with a very enthusiastic young woman named Buzzy. And the kid, who I now look up because I was tired of them being asthma kid and non-asthma kid, are named Marshall, and the friend, the asthma kid, is named Gilbert.
Okay. I'm not going to remember them. I'm going to remember asthma kid and non-asthma kid because that's probably how you're going to refer to them for the rest of the episode, too.
I went through their names after this, Sam. I was a good participant.
Oh, well, you know what? I am wrong, Danielle. You've proved me. I've done you two faux pas. One, I tried to correct you on the Forever show. Now I've assumed that you didn't remember their names. That's so bad of me. I'm on a roll for being a bad friend today.
Well, there's only 4 characters in this whole plot, so it was a lot easier than usual. So Marshall's going as Warthead for Halloween, which is the name of the character from the movie.
So this is a franchise movie.
Yes. And he needs lots of slime to complete his costume. Buzzy asks them if they've seen the new Warthead movie, and Marshall laments someone wouldn't let him finish it.
Ooh, get him!
On the way home, Marshall suggests that as his best friend of many years, it's his job to make sure that Gilbert doesn't get trapped in his own fear world. They're big world people, not small world people, and they need to act accordingly.
What?
He's giving him a pep talk, telling him that he can't be a weenie.
But what is big world versus small? What does that mean?
The big world people would not be afraid of horror movies. I don't know, Sam. He's 12.
Yeah, wow. I don't understand any of that.
You can't be afraid of things if you're a big world person. It means that you're up for being adventurous.
Being a big world means you're missing out on the details, right? That's the whole idea of big picture versus...
I don't think it's a big picture thing. I just think it's a big world thing. Like, you're not trapped in your small town, scared to do anything views. I think that's what he's trying to say.
All right. I still think it's a bad pep talk, but what do I know?
He's 12, again.
I mean, true. With all my 12 years of vast life experience, let me give you a pep talk. Like, no, you got nothing to talk about, kid.
Marshall says to face his fears, he needs to play Ding Dong Ditch with Mr. Kubat.
No, don't. It's just, don't be a jerk to other people.
Gilbert doesn't want to do that because there's a rumor that the guy is a serial killer, which, he might be.
Well, yeah, anyone could be a serial killer, Danielle. You could be a serial killer for all I know.
I might be. Marshall somehow talks Gilbert.
That was peppy.
Marshall somehow talks Gilbert into this, and though he's very alarmed by a decapitated garden gnome in the yard, he does somehow go to knock on the door. Unfortunately, a man
decapitated garden gnome.
It's just like they walk past it and there's a garden gnome that's decapitated and the music's like, ooh.
The details in this movie are insane.
I love it. So unfortunately, as he's knocking, a man comes out of nowhere because Marshall's apparently the worst lookout in the entire world.
It's not even how lookout, that's not even being a lookout. That's just being a bad Like, you got one job. It's to look. I don't understand how you can be a lookout and miss the human in a field.
I don't know. It's not in the field. It's at a house. He's not knocking on the door.
Whatever. In the yard or lawn or whatever.
So a guy walks up behind him asking him what he wants. Gilbert, who we learn very quickly is actually one of the best liars of the entire film.
Wow.
Asks him nervously, but very authoritatively, asks him if he wants to buy a ticket for the Morse Park Middle School Halloween Carnival.
Is that a thing?
Solid lie.
Well, it is until he says yes. Then what are you going to do, buddy?
There probably is a Morris Park Middle School Halloween Carnival. I can't remember.
But does he have any tickets to sell? Is he going to take his money and run off?
Mr. Kubat's not going to buy a Halloween Carnival pass.
You don't know. Maybe he's loves to support the kids. Maybe he's a gentle, kind soul like Boo Radley.
He's not. He's a potential serial killer, Sam.
So everyone said about Boo Radley, Danielle. Wasn't the whole point of that he wasn't?
Okay, but this is not highbrow fiction. This is like a remake of a 1997's Disney Channel
I'm just
original
saying,
movie.
Judging people by their, covers is bad.
Yeah, this is not one of those movies where you find out that the bad guy is secretly good inside.
Why is he the bad guy, Danielle? Why can't this be a guy?
You'll find out.
Okay.
Mr. Kubat yells at him to get off his porch, and they run for it. Gilbert asks Marshall to dinner at his house, but Marshall complains that he has to go home because his mom is having her annoying new boyfriend, Ted, over.
Every time. Also, why does he have to be there? Like, wouldn't the parents say, no, you shouldn't be here when Ted's over for obvious reasons?
No, it's because, spoiler, for 3 seconds from now, the mom is trying very hard to get Ted and Marshall to be friends.
Aw, I see.
Yeah. Ted, of course, seems perfectly nice because they always are. And he's clearly trying his best. He's asking about his love of horror movies and Halloween. But Marshall, of course, soundly dismisses him. And Ted seems very understanding. His mom is annoyed that this is not working out as she had hoped. He storms off or leaves dinner or, says, hey, can I go? And he gets off for the table. So the mom goes in to talk to him, asking him to give Ted a chance. And Marshall seems to think 5 years post-divorce from his dad is too soon. And his mom assures him that she's going to love him just as much. It doesn't matter if there's another person in the picture, and it's time for her to get a chance to be happy too. She has an actual adult conversation with this kid for once in our mini movies.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good start, lady. I'm glad you're having an adult conversation with him, but what about therapy?
Yeah, I don't know. It's 2021. Maybe he's been in therapy, Sam.
That'd be good. That'd be a new change of pace for us.
As he's looking depressed in his bed, a walkie-talkie message comes through from Gilbert. He tells him to take a look at what's going on over at Kubat. There's a moving truck outside, and Marshall doesn't understand the concern. He says his mom said that Kubat was an antique dealer, so it's probably just that. Gilbert insists that it's weird that antique looks like a dead body as the movers move out a long, wrapped object. What could it be, Sam?
Do movers generally traffic in presumably stolen Egyptian relics? It seems to me that's something you would not hire just your Joe's moving company to handle.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a fake moving company that he uses, Sam.
Oh, okay. He's got a whole villain network.
Maybe. I mean, he is taking a potential dead body into his house.
Yeah, sure. Or it could just be anything else.
Oh, yeah. It could be, but then the movie wouldn't be called Under Wraps.
That's a fair point. You know what? It was foolish of me to question.
Marshall says he assumes it's just an Iron Maiden to torture his victims or big old statue for his big old house. But, spoiler, it's probably not.
It's probably a mummy somehow. Well, let me ask you a question here. Where does this take place? Is it Anytown, USA, or is it Midway? Yeah. Okay, yeah, gotcha. That was my question.
It may tell you, but I don't remember.
Because my question with all of these movies, when we did Monster Squad, why did Dracula show up in this random, suburban town or small town? Why is the mummy guy here in Anytown, USA?
Well, this Anytown, USA is very close to a relatively large major city because the next scene is in a natural history museum, and most towns don't have those.
That's true. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd kill for one nearby. So we cut to the natural history museum that this town has. The students are there, so Marshall and Gilbert are there. And per the teacher, they are supposed to check out the Egyptian exhibit, which will be on the test that they're going to have coming up. The students in the Natural History Museum have to pair up in sets of, twos. But there is a girl left over named Amy, who is assigned to Marshall and Gilbert. Amy's new to town. She moved with her stepdad and step-Dave over the summer, as she calls them. And she
Step Dave, very good.
Stepdad and Step-Dave. And
so wait, this is a rare Disney movie with a queer parent?
Yeah, because it's a 2021 remake, Sam. Woo-hoo, diversity.
Look, I mean, yay for that, but also, like, Disney has canceled shows
in the
last few years because of the fact that they had queer main characters.
Well, these are not main characters. These are little side characters. I mean, Dad and Step Dave, so.
Oh, the ones that are easy to cut out for international distribution. Boo, Disney.
And I can't recall, I'll be honest, if they come into play at any point.
I give them no credit for I'm happy that they're at least something there, but like Disney can do so much better than they don't because they're evil. And we know that.
Yes, we do know that. All right. She has moved there with her dad and Step Dave over the summer, and she hates it there. Thanks. She wants to be an investigative journalist, and this town is so boring, Sam.
So boring.
They find out that she's also into horror, and Marshall offers a snack. And then this bully shows up. I don't know his name. Bully McBullison shows up to snatch them away.
Yep. Cool. Sounds like the guy.
Yeah. Amy doesn't take kindly to the bully and talks him into believing that the candy he stole has an ingredient that causes instant diarrhea. And the bully throws back the candy and runs off in search of a bathroom.
Why does the bully believe that?
Because she is new and very adamant.
Okay, sure.
She has no reason to lie to him, Sam.
Why? Also... how old are these kids again? Are they like 12?
Yeah, they're 12.
They're 12, yeah. I forgot the description already you sent me.
I sent you 2 lines. You only needed to remember 2 lines.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that wealth of information overwhelmed me. My little koala baby brain. No, because it feels like even a 12-year-old should know that, like, they're selling this as packaged food. There probably isn't here's a diarrhea machine in a candy bar.
They would be if they're all sugar-free, I guess.
Sure. I mean, but you know how many sugar-free things you have to eat to get the diarrhea?
A lot of sugar things.
And people do. Don't get me wrong. People can do that. I'm impressed by them all the time, but not that kid. Probably.
But he's 12. He doesn't. He's a bully McBullison. He's probably not the smartest kid in the class. Sam.
Fair enough.
So the class goes on a tour of the Egyptian wing, and for, reasons unknown, they have an actual mummy with no protective glass covering it. It's
just like a mummy standing there.
It's sitting there in the
like a suit of armor, like a castle at like the Tower of London, like a suit of armor.
Yeah, it's wild. And to be fair, I have actually been to mummy museums where there are mummies you can touch. No, I have. I've been to literal mummy museums that you can touch the mummies. But it was not in the United States, and I feel like United States really likes to put glass on things.
Because people here can't be trusted to behave.
No.
Our people who experience our tourists know this.
Yeah, so...
Also,
don't believe
fun
that.
fact, completely unrelated, but, because I always want to take a chance to dunk on the British. One of the reasons there are so few mummies around is because the British used to eat them.
Yeah.
They'd have little parties.
Delicious.
Yeah, so, not only do they steal them from the British Museum, but they also just ate mummies because...
And then they died.
Well, yes, because time, but not as quickly as it should have, probably.
And some of them were taken out by curses. It was a whole thing.
Well, we can only hope. Because, the mummy's curse is you disturb my tomb, but how bad's the curse if you eat the mummy?
Really bad.
Really bad? It's gotta be terrible.
All right, so this mummy in this Natural History Museum is a princess. And Amy asks why there are 2 platforms, but only 1 mummy. And apparently the other platform is for the high priest. The princess and priest were in love with each other, but from rivaling families.
So wait, are we doing freaking Romeo and Juliet mummies? We did Romeo and Juliet leprechauns.
Yes. I'm going to do as many Romeo and Juliet versions as I possibly can, Sam.
Screenwriters. There are other love stories besides Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet isn't even a love story. It's a tragedy. Come on.
So is this, Sam. It's so sad. Oh,
okay. I can't wait to be bawling my eyes at the DCOM mummy story.
So they're from separate families. However, when they passed, their attendants conspired to bury them together. Unfortunately, in 1925, the tombs were raided and the mummies ended up in different museums. The museum was set to reunite them, this museum, but the high priest mummy mysteriously disappeared on its way to the museum.
Well, of course it did.
The next day, or future day, someday in the future, at school, Marshall and Gilbert have invited Amy to be their new best friend.
Oh, of course they have. Which one of them has a crush on her?
Nobody
Both?
yet. Maybe. They ask her how she knew so much about sarcophaguses at the museum because she was telling them all about them. And she says, since she's going to be an investigative reporter, she knows a little bit about a lot. I love 12-year-olds.
All right. Who was that? Was that Harriet the Spy? Who's the kid reporter?
Harriet the Spy.
Was she a kid reporter? I thought she was a spy.
Is there a kid reporter?
I thought it was like a kid detective, kid reporter thing.
I don't know the answer to that.
All right. Well, maybe it was Harriet the Spy. So either way, girl, you go, I guess.
She didn't technically report her things. It's not like she ran her own newspaper or something. I was obsessed with Harriet the Spy when I was little. No surprise.
That is not surprising. Yeah. No, the Nancy Drew obsessed girl is obsessed with Harriet the Spy, which was basically the same thing.
Also, Hardy Boys. Let's not forget them. I actually liked Hardy Boys more than I liked Nancy Drew at one point.
Okay, sure.
Gilbert mentions he's been investigating their neighbor, Mr. Kubat, and tells her about the human-shaped delivery. She asks lots of questions and then insists that there's only so many things shaped like a human. Like humans.
What's her name again? Amy?
Amy.
Amy, boy, do I have news for you. Many things could look like something else that aren't that thing. And don't even it could be several things put together.
Marshall said earlier, it could be many different things.
I mean, I know it isn't because movie, but also it's amazing how they always jump to the right conclusions.
I was hoping it was an Iron Maiden, like Marshall said, personally.
That'd be more fun.
So Amy thinks that with the information that Gilbert's given her, she thinks it's an anthropoid coffin, like the one at the museum. And she's now convinced
sarcophagus.
That this guy has...
sarcophagus? Has to go to an anthropoid coffin? Who says anthropoid? Who says anthropoid anything?
This 12-year-old to-be investigative reporter, Sam.
Honestly,
who knows a little bit about a lot. Jeez.
I think I'm so upset because that's basically me when I was 12.
Yeah, I was not any better than this, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be why we're friends.
Yeah.
We're both equally annoying.
Still are.
She's now convinced this guy has stolen the mummy and insists that they take her to his house. Stat. I love Amy.
Short. She's what's the word I'm looking for? Spunky. That's the term they use for all these kids. She is
spunky. She strong arms them into coming back that night to look in the windows. And not content with just looking inside, she finds an open window and decides to sneak in once they arrive. Luckily, Kubat's not at home, so no big deal. So they're inside the house, and for an antique dealer, his basement is very dirty. It feels like a good way to ruin your antiques. You think that you,
Well, is it dust or is it like moisture? Because those two are very different things.
It's like basement.
What does that mean?
It probably does have moisture, but it definitely has that, everything's cluttered together. It's old.
Rats.
Everything's dusty. Maybe there's rats. I don't know. So they're looking all around the basement, trying to find the anthropoid coffin. And Gilbert, of course.
Coffin. Every time you wrote that in your notes every time just for fun, right?
No. Just did it on a whim, Sam.
Oh.
Gilbert, of course, stumbles across the human-shaped item leaning against the corner of the wall almost immediately.
Who just leaves their mummy leaning against a wall in their base? Okay, this guy is not very careful with his
antique dealer.
Or evil mastermind, whatever his plan is.
In a very questionable bit of writing and acting for someone who is supposedly scared of everything, he pulls the tarp off the human-shaped object and sees an Egyptian coffin underneath. He then manages...
sarcophagus.
Yes, the anthropoid coffin
I'm sorry. Anthropoid Egyptian coffin, to be fully correct.
He then manages, Gilbert, afraid of everything, has asthma, manages to somehow open this anthropoid coffin, Egyptian coffin, by himself.
It's so heavy, the lid.
He lifts the stone, and he puts it off to the side and finds a mummy inside. Dun,
So
dun,
wait,
dun.
leaning up against the wall, he manages to pull the giant stone slab aside. And how is that like 7 times heavier than him or whatever?
I don't know.
Amazing stuff.
So, seemingly not scared about this dead body almost at all, which is just amazing given his characterization prior to this point.
Ridiculous.
And now he's like, I don't know, like a bird or something. He's distracted immediately by the shiny scarab necklace
he's a
that
bird.
the dead body is wearing.
So he's like, shiny necklace.
Yeah, like squirrel. Like he's like immediately distracted by the shiny necklace, and he reaches out to touch it. The mummy somehow
what are you doing?
The mummy somehow falls out of the anthropoid coffin, Egyptian coffin, and falls on him. And he starts to scream his head off, and that has not brought any of the other kids to him at this point. All of this has
owner
happened.
of the house. Yeah.
The owner of the house is not home. We've established this.
I mean, how do they know he's not just like taking a nap upstairs?
I don't remember, Sam. Maybe they noticed his car wasn't there. All the lights were off. I don't know. So they're assuming he's not home. But again, this is just a basement. He's screaming his head off, and like nobody rushes to him quickly enough for my how I would think that would work in a basement. Basement's not that big.
You would hope so.
He managed to escape the body falling on him. He, rolls out. He runs off, but the scarab necklace catches the moonlight, and the mummy starts to move.
I mean, I'm not surprised at all.
Nor should you be. This is a movie for 12-year-olds, Sam.
Danielle, I pride myself on having the intelligence of at least a 12-year-old. So,
You're doing great.
Prove me right.
So he finds the others, and he's like dragging him back. He's like, come look at the mummy, but it's vanished. Whoosh.
No.
They hear a deep groaning from behind, and to their shock, the mummy stumbles out of the shadows, chasing them through the house as they scream and run away.
That was my scream.
We immediately find out that this mummy apparently has super strength. Don't ask me how. Maybe because,
sure.
I don't know, it doesn't have a...
All desiccated bodies are super strong, Danielle.
I don't know, pure power, doesn't have a brain anymore to think that, it shouldn't do things. So it breaks through a wall into the room that they've locked themselves into.
Sure.
As it approaches them, they scream for it to stop, and the mummy pauses and holds out their dropped flashlight from the basement. Like, hey,
it's a friendly mummy.
You forgot this. Yeah, they immediately realize that the mummy is trying to be friendly and must be confused, which is a great turnaround. You're like 180. They're like, oh, you must be friendly because you have our flashlight.
Yeah, we're suddenly going to be all buddy-buddy.
But as they're deciding what to do with this mummy and everything that's happening, Kubat's car lights flash against the wall, and they're like, oh no, he's coming! And they make a run for it. Kubat and the two guys, who can only be described as goons, come in and realize they've been hit, quote-unquote, what with the broken walls and all. So they think that something's happened, obviously. Somebody's stolen the antiques.
Yeah, the antiques.
Yeah, that he may or may not have stolen, fenced, I guess.
I got
the term. The kids make it outside, and Amy bemoans the fact that her dad won't let her have a phone because she could have taken pictures and proven life after death. It was the story of the century, and oh my gosh, she doesn't have a phone to document it. But before
children only want one thing.
To document the story of the century.
Also, is it really life after death? I don't think that mummy is really living in any sense of the word.
Oh, we don't know that yet, Sam. We know nothing about this mummy.
The mummy gonna be chilling on the beach with a Mai Tai,
Maybe.
Living it up. Okay.
Before they can get much further, the mummy appears across the street.
Just imagine for a second here that we discovered from a 12-year-old that mummification brought you back to life if you had a scarab necklace beetle thing. Can you just imagine the industry that would pop up for mummification process? Like, mummify yourself now!
You'd have to figure out how the scarab necklace works. Obviously, it's like magically infused or something.
I'm sure they could commodify that pretty easily.
So, the mummy's across the street. It's moaning.
Right, of course, yep, sorry.
Zombie moaning after him. Oh, I'm a mummy.
Okay, good.
You're welcome. And the kids try to shoo him away, but realize that he can't go back into Kubat's, obviously, because, he'd be found out. So they insist Marshall take him in for the night after Gilbert says that he can't even take care of a goldfish, and Marshall's the one who loves monsters, so obviously he's the person who should be doing this.
Ooh, Marshall the Monster Lover. Very different movie.
Gross. Marshall insists he can't get it past his mom.
Don't hit on their love, Danielle.
But everyone just leaves him and the mummy. They're like, well, good luck out there. And they leave.
Crazy stuff.
Great friends. So he brings the mummy home. His mom and Ted are watching a mummy movie on TV, ironically.
I don't know if that's irony, Danielle, or coincidence.
Coincidence.
We need to consult the expert on irony, Alanis Morissette.
She thinks everything is irony, Sam.
That's why she's the expert. She knows.
His mom is like, you're out late for a school night because, I don't know, I guess Marshall makes his own rules? Like, you're not worried about
He's 12!
your child being out.
To be fair, Danielle, when you were 12, would your parents have really batted an eye at this?
No, but the only rule my family really had, we were not a big rules family, probably because I just followed made-up rules that I knew were the correct things to be doing, is I had to call, I had to call if I were going to be out. Like, I had to be like, hey, is it okay if I stay here later? So you would have had the cell phone
take a picture of the mummy.
I didn't have a cell phone till high school.
No, so you had to call from friends' houses and stuff?
Yeah, Sam, remember when I was born, there were not cell phones?
No, I don't remember that, Danielle. Danielle, I was not alive when you were born.
That's true. Sam's a youngin', everybody.
Yeah, well, relatively.
He's a little baby.
A little baby koala in your pouch.
I am teaching him my ways.
Oh no, I don't want to learn this.
Anyway, I don't think cell phones existed much until I got high school. I had a track phone or something. We're old, sure. Everybody.
Look, that's why we're so funny. Because we're bitter.
Yeah, we had to pay for text messages, and picture quality on the phones were pretty questionable. 2021's a whole different time.
Literally, yes, Danielle.
So anyway, when I was 12, if I had called and said, hey, I'm still at my friend's house or whatever, can I stay later? They would have said yes, and they would have known where it was. But apparently Marshall lives, to be fair, I did not live in a neighborhood where this was a thing. Like, you didn't just chill outside your house after dark. He lives in cute little suburbia. So he awkwardly bows out of watching the movie because, he's got a mummy with him, and he sneaks the mummy upstairs to his room. The mummy immediately gets freaked out by his wart head costume that's sitting on display, and then just
the old nemesis of the mummy, wart head.
He's just a little scaredy cat, and he just randomly wanders around the room poking at things and trying to eat stuff. Why
would the mummy just randomly eat? If this is life after death, is the mummy brain dead?
No.
After being, because human beings don't just wander into someone's room and start putting things in their mouth. Yeah, unless they're toddlers.
Sam, I can't tell you. Maybe the high priest was actually pretty dumb in real life. Okay. I don't know. Or if maybe his brain's degraded because, it's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why he's zombie level intelligence.
An anthropoid coffin is not particularly hermetic, device, I assume, for preserving the human form.
Yeah, I would imagine it's not. So his mom brings up some pizza, because I don't know. I'm glad you finally made it home, Marshall. Here's some pizza.
Here's some food. I remember what parents are supposed to do. They're supposed to feed and water their children.
Oh, wait, I have a child.
I must attend to the child. Throw a pizza up there and call it a day.
So much for loving him just as much when Ten's in the picture.
Oh, no.
So his mom brings up some pizza, and then Marshall feeds the mummy, who cannot possibly need food.
Or, have a function digest. If anything, that mummy needs to, evacuate its mummy bowels after centuries in a sarcophagus.
Yeah, I can't. It should not be eating pizza. And the mummy, for reasons, is obsessed with hot sauce. As soon as he tries it, he's trying to drink it. He's just very into it.
Ancient Egypt didn't have a lot of hot sauce, Danielle.
Maybe it's the only thing he can taste on his decrepit
tongue. Oh, because his tongue is so withered. This is really bleak.
Well, gotta have questions. How does the mummy work, Sam? Valid questions.
Very valid. Honestly, again, we've gone back to our comfort zone of taking a children's movie that is not that deep and asking questions no one want to ask and turning to something dark.
Yes. That is literally Book Retorts 101.
Well done, us.
So Marshall's very impressed, telling him the only person he knows is as obsessed with hot sauce is his grandpa Harold. So he decides to name the mummy Harold.
Okay.
He gets him a cozy bed on the floor and they go to sleep because mummies sleep, I guess. So many
Danielle,
questions.
I don't believe anything at this point. He eats pizza. It puts it in his mouth like a toddler. I'm surprised he doesn't like asking for a bedtime story.
The next morning, he tries to communicate to Harold that he has to go to school and Harold needs to stay in his room, which is giving this non-English speaking creature a lot of credit. I feel like
it's a very good point. Like, even if it spoke at all, it would not be modern English.
Not at all. And it feels like this kid should have faked being sick and stayed home. Like, if there is a day to do that, it's the day that you brought a mummy to your room.
Look, kid, I know when you're young, school is like most of your life, but there are things that are more important than school.
I don't feel well. Gotta stay home, Mom.
Mom's probably like, I don't care. Do you want me to leave you a pizza?
The mummy immediately sneaks out of his room, of course, as soon as Marshall leaves, only to be immediately alarmed by a mirror of what he looks like. So he steps out into the hall and he's like, whoa, what?
I have not aged well in the last 300 years.
Back to school, the teacher tells them that they're wrapping up their Egypt segment with a project. They can do whatever they want, something creative, as long as it involves Egypt. Marshall asks if they can make a movie, and when the teacher approves, he tells the others that they're going to make a mummy movie using Harold, and it'll be totally legit. It's going to be so good, Sam.
I mean, here's my question. What does using Mummy Harold bring to the movie experience that wrapping a kid in, bandages doesn't?
That Mummy Harold spent several hours in costuming prior to filming his scenes.
Okay, I'm just saying, I don't see why using a real mummy in your fake movie is going to somehow add more to the movie than a fake mummy. Probably a lot harder to direct the real mummy, honestly.
Yeah, it probably is.
Memorize these lines. No.
However, I don't think our horror-obsessed Marshall is going to pass up an opportunity to film a movie with a real mummy.
Sure, make it a documentary then, or just bring in the mummy for show and tell.
It'd be fun to do a mockumentary. I mean, it'd be a documentary, but people would not think that was real, so it'd be pretty funny to do it. Actually, great
That'd
idea.
Be more funny if he was trying to do a real documentary. Guys, it's real. Oh, very
Tell
good.
us what it was like in ancient Egypt.
Oh, yes, very good.
A+.
Guys, it's a real mummy. Yeah, sure it is, Marshall.
Very funny.
See, we already written a better movie than this kid come up with.
Meanwhile, back at the house, Harold has gone into the kitchen and has discovered honey, which somehow gets the remote stuck on his hand for the TV. And then,
they had honey in Egypt, right?
Yeah, but maybe he's rediscovered it, Sam. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But yes,
this new sticky thing.
Hasn't honey been around for a zillion years?
That's what I'm getting at. This is not honey, the new agricultural invention of the new world.
It's probably the only thing that's familiar to him is this honey.
That's probably true.
Yeah. So the remote's stuck on his hand, and cue 5 minutes of shenanigans as he tries to get the remote off his hand, steps on a Roomba, which chases him out of the house. TV's going on and off. It's a whole thing.
It's a lot of physical comedy. I gotcha.
Yes.
Very Abbott and Costello meet the mummy.
The kids rush home after class, only to find the door, unsurprisingly, wide open. Harold has somehow made it downtown, where most people ignore him, considering Halloween is, I think, maybe that week. Time, as always, is unclear.
Time has no meaning in these movies.
No. But one random young lady is like, nice costume, weirdo, which seems like a weird thing to say.
Why
really.
be a jerk to some random child?
Yeah, and it's a really weird thing to say because, 10 feet away from her is this witch in a storefront giving out candy to kids that are coming by.
It's Halloween.
What a strange thing to say to somebody going down the street in a costume. And there's also a dog in a lobster costume. So this woman just needs some therapy or something.
Well, that's just adorable, Danielle.
I know. Very cute. As he's wandering, he sees pictures of the Egyptian exhibit on a local bus, and the face of the princess's casket is front and center. He lovingly touches the picture, but unfortunately part of his wrap gets caught up on the bus, and it drives away, it starts to unravel and starts to pull him down the road.
That's so sad.
It is sad. That's the end of The Mummy.
Okay, well, movie's over. Good to have you.
That'd be so funny. As the kids rush out of the house to go find Harold, Mr. Kubalt stands in their way. He hardcore chews scenery. It's very good. And he asks
the village are the best in all these movies, I'll be honest. He
asks them angrily if they saw anything because there was a break-in the night before. And they're like, nope, not a thing. Nothing. Gotta go. Bye. And somehow nobody seems concerned by this mummy being pulled behind a bus and like calls it into 911.
No one sees this?
No, there's just like downtown street mummy.
So it's like part of the Halloween parade or whatever?
It's just being pulled by like a city bus. But it's fine because the wrap finally snaps just as the bus passes the museum. And
how's the mummy not naked yet?
It gets like caught in the bus and then he's just being dragged behind. It's not unraveling anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's good. And like I said, it drops him off right in front of the museum. It snaps. Great timing. And he heads inside. Free ride. The kids wandering downtown past the museum and wonder if he somehow went inside. Like, if I were Mummy, that's where I would go.
Sure.
Surprise! He is inside, and he somehow
it makes sense. Who wouldn't want to go to the mummy house?
Yeah, and he somehow got into the mummy room without being seen. I don't know, just wandered through the entire museum. Nobody noticed. Maybe they thought he was part of the Halloween spectacular. I don't know, Sam.
Spooktacular, Danielle. Spooktacular.
Spooktacular. Harold points to his and the princess's matching necklaces, and Amy suggests that it might be their version of an engagement ring since they were in love.
Again, a lot of conclusions she's jumping to now.
It might not be, Sam. It's just what her assumption is. Marshall and the kids talk Harold into leaving for the time being, but no, there's no way he'll stay away. And they are like pondering what to do, obviously. What do you do with a mummy, Sam?
Put in a movie, I guess.
Yes, that's exactly what they're going to do. Problem solved.
Where's there? Yeah, exactly right.
So Marshall thinks they have to find somebody who can help them, like, somebody more knowledgeable than a bunch of 12-year-olds. And they realize that they know Buzzy, the costume shop owner and monsterologist, I guess.
Monsterologist?
Buffy.
Monsterologist, anthropoid coffin? What's with this movie?
I wrote monsterologist. I don't doubt they use that in the film.
Oh, okay. That's
she is a monsterologist.
Sure.
Buzzy's reluctant to believe them, but she checks the pulse of the mummy, and because there isn't one, she somehow magically believes them. Because that's all you need to convince an adult.
Yeah, maybe you're just terrible at taking pulses, lady.
Which is possible. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
No, they're actually pretty tricky.
So she's pretty excited by all this because, like I said, she's a monsterologist and she owns the costume shop, and she's kind of a little woo-woo.
As they all are.
As they're discussing the mummy, Harold wanders off to watch TV it's like a dancing skeleton scene on the TV. And he starts,
a Halloween kind of thing.
Yeah, and he starts imitating the move. And Gilbert thinks Harold has potential as a dancer. He's like,
sure. What? Are they going to do a dancing mummy movie? Because that'd be amazing.
There may or may not be dancing scenes in this.
Yeah.
Buzzy recalls that someone stole a mummy recently, and they insist that they're trying to stop the people who did steal him from getting him back. Like, yes, you're right on the money. This is exactly what's happening, Buzzy. They need help figuring out what to do, and Amy suggests that perhaps the amulet is important since he was gesturing to them so emphatically at the museum.
You think the amulet that brought him to life might be important.
Buzzy takes a closer look at the amulet, noticing a hieroglyph inscription on the back, and she takes a pic to work on while the kids rush off to work on their movie.
The movie's the most important part of this, obviously.
Yes. Meanwhile, Kubat heads over to, this fancy lady's house. Miss Ravensworth is her name, and she's eating a whole octopus.
What? A live octopus, or just like a what?
It's dead. And it's just sitting on the table, but it is a whole octopus. And she's sitting at the table, and she's just eating it piece by piece as she talks to them. Because, I don't know, she's fancy. And maybe evil.
Well, definitely at least 2 of those things.
She apparently has some kind of, like, money investment in this mummy. She's wondering how a mummy just walks off and disappears, and she tells him he has 48 hours to produce the mummy, or she'll want a full reimbursement and penalty fee. We then watch her eat, like, half a tentacle in a close-up shot.
Is she planning to eat the mummy? Is this what this plot's about? Because
I don't know, Sam.
I don't know what the street value of a mummy is. Like, I don't think they have a lot of value on the street. Mummies.
I mean, probably to certain antique dealers they would. Antiques,
I guess.
Like, she's clear. Like, I assume she's the one that's paying for the mummy. Like,
I mean, these are the kind of people who buy like Nicolas Cage, who buys a Tyrannosaurus head, has to give it back because it's been stolen, or the crazy religious people who buy artifacts from Iran or whatever. Have
that's
to give them
what
back.
I assume this woman is. Like, she obviously knows that this has been stolen, and she's totally fine with that. And her house is very opulent. Like, she's eating the octopus, obviously, but she's at one of those giant tables in like marbled house with the chandeliers. Like, she's very fancy, very rich. Back with the kids, they've created a whole set in their garage, and Marshall's mom and Ted come in, and Ted has found costumes for their movie. They tell the parents that the mummy is a kid from school.
Sure. These parents don't believe anything.
They do. They're paying absolutely no attention to this child, Sam. Obviously, he was just
they
out
throw him a
past
pizza
curfew.
once a day. They call it a day. They're like, did you leave a pizza for? It's like a hamster, They leave a pizza for him, and they're like, good enough.
Marshall's put off by the costumes coming from Ted, and Amy is like, seems like you kind of just are upset that it's not your dad. Ted seems like a really nice guy. And Amy says that she felt the same way about Step Dave, but she realized that he was really good for her dad.
I forgot about Step Dave.
And now they're super close. So maybe she should give Ted a chance.
All we are saying, give Ted a chance. Yeah. That concludes the musical portion of the episode.
Maybe. We'll find out. All right. So, cue the old-timey movie, which, like, you see the film of it. It has, like, that old crackly style from, like, the 1920s or whatever. And it's actually a pretty legit movie for a middle school project.
What did they film it on? An old, like, reel-to-reel?
I have no idea. It's 2021, Sam. They just fed it through a filter when they were done.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. But I forget what the story is about, but it's like...
a mummy.
Well, it is, but it's like they have Marshall's directing it or something, and Gilbert goes in and he's like he's got his old-timey hat on, and he's like the explorer who's looking for the mummy, like a whole thing, and there's curse, and there's like a whole story plot going on. Harold, however, has a hard time being threatening and keeps ruining their takes until the last one before, because he's just like not scary and he's confused about what's going on.
Aww.
I know, it's so sad. And then they get a phone call from Buzzy interrupting, letting them know that she's figured it out.
Okay, figured what out?
She was reviewing the hieroglyphs from the back of the...
So, I thought, like, she might have just, like, come to some conclusion, oh, these are hieroglyphs. But
no, she took a picture.
Read them.
She took a picture so she could study up on it.
I got that, but I don't know how that makes any sense.
No, she's using her Hieroglyphics 101 book, and she is figuring out what it says, Sam. What more do you want? She probably ran it through some kind of app that reads hieroglyphs. Like, it's not...
Do you think there were apps in 2021, in 2001, Danielle?
In 2021? Yeah.
Oh, 2021. I'm sorry. I kept saying 2001. Sorry.
No, 2021. Yeah. There are definitely apps to read hieroglyphs in 2021.
I'm wrong. Yep, absolutely.
They didn't even have to leave. They could have just stayed there while she ran it through.
Probably.
So she finds out somehow that the amulet is activated by exposure to moonlight, and that's what brought Harold back to life. Buzzy says the inscription reads, "This amulet will raise the dead. For 3 days they will live instead. But in their coffin they must be by midnight on the day of 3, or doomed forever they will be throughout all eternity."
It's really nice that the Egyptians write in rhyming English.
I know. That's why I kept it, because it made me laugh. They asked what doomed forever means, and Buzzy somehow knows that that he'll turn to dust. That's what happens. He just explodes into dust, Sam.
No, okay, great.
And the kids are freaking out, and Gilbert says they have to get him back by tomorrow, by Halloween night.
By Halloween night?
Yeah, that's the 3rd day, because of course it is.
Of course it is. Why is it always like 3 days? There's never enough time.
Yeah, it isn't. And they need the coffin, a sarcophagus from Kubat's house to put him in. Because, you know, mummies come with coffins. They don't just appear.
Yeah, right.
So
apparently a mummy comes like prepackaged with a coffin.
Yes, it does.
Like those scissors you can't open.
Yes, Sam. In order to open a coffin, you need a coffin.
That's how it works.
All right, so the plan, which they seem to be doing that night, because obviously they don't have time, is to sneak back into Kubat's house. They will put the mummy back into the anthropoid casket coffin.
There you go.
And then call the museum
coffin
and file an anonymous report so that the museum can get the coffin back.
That's ironclad.
Yeah, totally will work. Don't see any problems. They sneak up to the house, only to find that Kubat and a goon are wrapping up the coffin and taking it somewhere. The camera zooms in on Gilbert's inhaler, which can be seen now that they're moved the coffin. So he had dropped it when the...
Wait, is his inhaler going to be like a tracking device in it? What's going on here?
No. So like when the mummy had sprung on him back in the basement, he dropped his inhaler. And now it's sitting there on the floor next to the coffin.
Oh, okay.
So they're concerned that Kubat's going to put the pieces together because, you know, he's neighbors with these kids.
I realize one of these children has asthma.
So they watch Kubat move the coffin into the truck and hear him say to take it over to the plant where it will be safer. What plant, you may ask? I don't know, Sam.
The mummy plant, obviously. The antique furniture plant.
Does he run a plant and antiques out of his house? Why does he not
Danielle,
just have everything taken to the plant?
Kubat's here. He's got a lot of irons in the fire. He's got his finger in a lot of pies. He's got his eyes on a lot of balls. Like, what's the word? He's got a lot going on.
I just don't understand if you have a plant full of antiques, why you would then have some antiques delivered to your house.
Because you're in a room in your antique plant, obviously. Obviously.
Okay. So they don't know what that means. Like the plant, what do they don't know? But thankfully, they've got a clue. Kubat heads back inside to close up the basement and finds Gilbert's inhaler as well.
Of course he does.
Uh-oh. They have a team meeting back inside Gilbert's fort. Amy mentions that the truck that took the coffin away had a penguin on it. So if they can figure out what the penguin meant, maybe they can find the plant where the coffin went as well.
So penguin logo means plant.
Well, they hear him say that that he was telling the goon that he had to take the coffin back over to the plant.
Right.
So they know it's a plant, and they know that that the delivery truck has a penguin on it. So like maybe
the delivery company could be penguin based,
or it could just be like a fake truck that used to own a penguin company, and they've used it for their own nefarious purposes.
Yeah, explain what a penguin company is.
Well, apparently we're terrifying them, so.
Oh.
Hey, I don't know what a penguin company is, but apparently they exist. It's an ice company.
I mean, whatever
Penguins
Mr. Papa got
us.
up to it. Penguin, they export Arctic ice. I mean, we're doing a pretty good job with that ourselves, frankly.
I don't know. Penguinos. Ice cream.
What? Sure. Cool. Perfect. Penguin eggs.
Penguin eggs. Tasty and delicious. Full of protein.
I bet they're not.
All right. Anyway. A knock on the door interrupts them. Gilbert yells to his mom that they're busy, and instead, Kubat's voice says, "I'm nobody's mom." How he knew they were in a backyard fort is beyond me. I don't know. Did he water their yards?
What an insane response. I'm nobody's mom.
That's why it's so good.
Amazing. Top tier villain work.
Kubat holds up the inhaler and says he wants to return it to Gilbert, and he knows what they took, and he intends to get it back. Dun, dun, dun.
Is Gilbert's name on the inhaler? Because that'd be much better.
No, of course. Well, I mean, no. It probably wasn't. It was probably on the box that the inhaler came in.
Okay.
I don't know how they put stickers on inhalers, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the next
mystery
inhaler
for the
I come
ages.
across.
We'll never know.
I know people with inhalers. I'll ask.
Okay. Thank you, Danielle. Your investigative journalism never goes unappreciated.
I'm Amy.
Yes.
They decide they're going to distract them and sneak out the back of the clubhouse, but unfortunately, they get caught immediately.
Of course they do. Absolutely they do.
Of course, it's a treehouse fort. It's not like you can't see around it.
Oh, they got the back of the treehouse. I can't see behind these leaves.
Kubat is like, just tell us where the mummy is and nobody gets hurt. But what's his actual plan? Is he going to, like, kill his neighbor kids? Like, what?
Now they're onto him.
Marshall's like, if we tell you where the mummy is, will you promise not to hurt us? And he's like...
That's what he just said. He literally just said that. He said, tell me where the mummy is or no one gets hurt.
And he's like, word of honor. And they point out...
Honor?
And they point to Harold, who is, like, mummy walking behind them. He's, like, hands out, you know. And the adults seem shocked, but Kubata's like, yeah, that's him. Grab him. Because apparently he's, like, unfazed by this.
Insane. Also, they gave up Harold right away.
Well, it's because they figured that they'd be freaked out by the fact that Harold was alive. I think that was the ploy. Like, yeah,
they underestimated Kubats. They underestimated Kubats and how disassociated he is from reality.
Yeah. Harold uses his mega strength to get away, and the goons are like, "What was that?" as the kids run off. And Kubat,
it's a mummy, guys. The mummy.
And Kubat's
it's like, a mummy.
Kubat knows. Kubat's like, actually, I remember reading about the legend of reanimation, but I thought it was a superstition. My price for it just went up. Way up.
What? What? Who is this, like, scholar of mummy lore / antiques fence?
Well, if you're an antique dealer, you probably know a lot about antiques, Sam.
Yeah, okay, whatever. I want to see him bring that on Antiques Roadshow. Like, yes, this is one of the mummies that's got the reanimation curse. This is going to add significantly to the value. Oh, I'm afraid one of the bandages was torn on a city bus. That's going to hurt the resale value at auction.
I want to see them do the little price with a doodle-doo, and then the moon hits it, and it's like doodle-doo. It's way higher.
Yeah. Amazing.
I'd watch that Antiques Roadshow.
I'd watch any Antiques Roadshow.
All of them. All of them are good.
All of them are very funny for different reasons.
I like when they've, like you said, they've screwed something up and now it's worth way less. Very funny.
I love it when they're like, oh, we refinished it to make it look better. And they're like, oh, you fool, you absolute fool.
I like when they have like a whole thing of like spoons from their great-great-uncle in the Civil War. And they're like, no, we're going to keep these. They have sentimental values. And I'm like, sell them. They're $50,000.
Also, they're Civil War spoons. Who cares?
Like, exactly.
They're probably full of lead.
Get rid of them.
Sentimentality can't pay your mortgage.
Your children don't want them.
They don't. They don't have a home to put them in.
Antiques Roadshow, somehow the most fun show on TV. All right. Anyway, as they're running off, they're interrupted by Ted, who like steps up to them on the sidewalk, who's dressed as a Halloween Easter bunny.
Great. What makes it an Easter bunny? What makes the Easter bunny Halloween?
I don't know. He's just dressed as the Easter bunny. Maybe he's giving out Halloween candy in his basket.
I thought it was like themed in some way, like it was spooky,
like an orange bunny. That'd be funny.
Or something like fake blood or something. One of those things.
Like a Reese's peanut butter bunny.
Delicious.
Tasty. They try to ditch him, but Amy thinks to ask him about whether he recalls a penguin truck since he grew up in town. And Ted is like, oh yeah, Aaron's ice cream.
What?
It was an ice cream truck. I must have remembered that.
Deep into the bowels of your memory. Yes.
Listeners don't know, but I wrote my notes for this several months ago.
This is we're really pulling back into the archives to make this Halloween in spring.
This plot is a surprise to me as well. And he tells them where the factory is located. The old rundown factory.
The old ice cream factory.
Oh, yes. Meanwhile, Mr. Kubat shows up at Marshall's house and creepily asks his mom if Marshall would like a job doing some yard work. But
hey, Mrs. Marshall, does your son want to do yard work for me?
Can you imagine your creepy neighbor who is like, no kids on my lawn for years, is not friendly at all, suddenly shows up and is like, hey, can your son do some yard work for me? That'd be sketchy.
Here's the best part, Danielle. You know that mom's like, sure, I don't care. I have a child.
Yes, she absolutely is. But she tells him Marshall's not home.
It's like, I didn't even remember I had a child, but you can have him, I guess.
Luckily, Ted, the responsible parent, I guess, shows up to let him
Wild.
know that he just saw Marshall down the road, and supposedly they're off to the Halloween carnival at the middle school. It was real, Sam.
Oh, okay. I have a theory here, Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
I think the mom is trying to foster a relationship between Ted and Marshall so that she can basically abandon Marshall with Ted and be like,
Go live her
I'm
best
free!
life.
Free of the burdens of this child I barely like.
That's a possibility. I'd say 50% chance at least.
At least.
So they decide, the kids, like I said, they're supposedly going to the Halloween carnival at the middle school. They decide they need to get Halloween costumes so they can go. I guess maybe I think it's required. Costumes are required for the carnival.
Sure.
So they go get Buzzy to drive them to the abandoned factory.
Who's Buzzy again? I'm sorry.
She's the woman who owns the costume shop who found the hieroglyphics.
Oh, right.
There's
the weird
4
one.
characters in this story, Sam.
Yeah, but we haven't seen her in a long time.
Buzzy's at the Halloween carnival, and costumes are mandatory, as I said, so they buy some stuff at the local store, including dressing up Harold as the Invisible Man.
Why not just dress him as a mummy?
I don't know. He already has a costume.
Yeah.
But they
Why are you complicating this?
They want to dress him up so that he can't, like, if the goons see him or Kubat sees him, maybe he won't be recognized immediately.
Oh, yes. The giant thing wrapped in ancient bandages. I won't recognize that with a hat
and he's
on
adult-sized. He's, like, at least 6 feet tall, so.
Yeah. And the Invisible Man costume is just a hat, right? And glasses.
And your jacket or something, yeah.
Yeah, no, trench coat. Yeah.
Gilbert rightly points out that Harold doesn't need a costume, but as I just said, Marshall's like, but Kubat's looking for a mummy.
These kids are dumb, but they're children, so whatever.
So Halloween Carnival appears to be a dance as well. There's a lot going on at this middle school on Halloween.
Very busy.
And I have never seen such an elaborate middle school carnival in my life. I don't know if you've ever been to like Halloween carnivals, but they're pretty well done. But like this is like Halloween, like Hollywood style levels.
Well, my elementary school, like Halloween things in the gym were, cheap. Yeah. You know that Willy Wonka event that everyone dunked on last? Yeah, it's like that.
That's usually what these are like.
Yeah, exactly.
Even when they're like pretty well done, there's still like it's people's hand-me-downs from their houses and like teachers who don't have salaries. Like they're not like crepe paper is what we have.
Absolutely.
Todd tries to bully them by asking if they're dressed up like losers because they don't need costumes for that.
I mean, solid burn, Todd.
Really
well done. Top tier work.
Bully McBullyface strikes again. And he's dressed up as a serial killer with, like cereal. Eating
I got
cereal.
It. Yeah. Again, Todd, as a bully, the pun costume is not the most intimidating.
Harold doesn't take kindly to that. The mummy starts roaring in his face, which causes him to land into a pumpkin cake. He like falls backwards and slams into it.
They have a pumpkin cake?
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Oh, I'm sorry. My high school, my middle school or elementary school carnivals didn't have pumpkin cakes.
Okay,
Danielle.
I told you this is the most elaborate middle school carnival.
That's what I'm getting
ever
at.
seen.
Like I'm continually surprised by the amount of effort. Like, that's like something you see on Cake Masters or whatever.
I have to assume this is a very rich area.
Affluent, yeah.
The kids split up, Gilbert taking Harold and the others going to find Buzzy at the haunted house. Harold gets deeply sidetracked when he sees their teacher dressed up as an Egyptian princess, even though Gilbert tries to tell him that it's not his princess.
Also, like, Harold, come on, you have a lady. Don't be macking on some other chick at this party.
Well, he thinks it is his lady. He doesn't his brain is so compromised. He doesn't understand.
That was what I was trying to get at here. He doesn't recognize that, this isn't the woman I'm supposedly in love with. How could I not tell them apart?
So the teacher misunderstands the mummy's grunts, Harold's grunts, and thinks he wants to dance. Luckily, Harold learned some moves from that skeleton video. Remember earlier when he was
he's going to bust a move on the dance floor with the teacher.
Absolutely starts busting a move.
Of course. Oh, of course.
And everybody's like, yeah, go mummy, dude.
How does he have the dexterity to not just shuffle?
Sam, I don't know. I don't understand his brain capacity. He can't verbalize. He doesn't understand things, but he somehow can, like...
bust a move.
Yeah, break it down.
Crazy stuff.
Back outside, Kubat shows up at the carnival. He tells him he's dressed up as a dealer of stolen antiquities.
It's not a costume.
I know, that's what he tells them. It's funny.
And they let him in. It's like, that's good. You know, no ticket, though. He didn't buy a ticket.
I'm sure he does. Harold draws a crowd, everyone deeply impressed with his breakdance moves.
For reasons.
So obviously there are a ton of people dressed up as mummies, so Kubat is having a problem locating this one mummy, even though...
How popular was the mummy costume when
in
you were a kid?
2021, nobody. I don't think I've ever in my life seen somebody dressed up as a mummy.
Right, that's what I'm going to get out here. Not when I was a child, not when the original movie came out, not now.
Yeah, wild. Somehow he doesn't see the mummy that's literally leading the dance. It's like in the center of the dance floor. To the last possible moment.
The one mummy he wants, he can't find.
Right. Gilbert and Harold run into the haunted house as they're being chased and meet up with the others. Buzzy is parked out back and they run for the car. The goons catch up and manage to distract Harold long enough that he doesn't notice Kubat sneaking up behind him, and Kubat jumps on him and yanks off the amulet. Oh no.
Okay, is that going to be an instant death for him or what?
Well, Harold drops to the ground, and then the men pick up the mummy and take him away, and the kids put up little to no fight. The group decides that they have to head over to the factory to save Harold.
Save Harold! Save him quick!
Back at the factory, Miss Ravensworth is there, the octopus-eating woman.
You sure? Yeah, obviously.
Kubat brings her
Making
around.
octopus ice cream.
Yeah, it's clear that he's using this place as like a storage room for all his antiques. They're like stacked everywhere. I don't know why he had it delivered to his house. Like, why not deliver it to this place? Why? Like, well, I don't know why you would do that to your house, because you're in a suburban neighborhood and it's like
it's gonna get noticed.
Weird. Yeah, it's way more noticeable when you're unloading a human body.
Or, I'm sorry, anthropoid coffin, Danielle.
An anthropoid coffin, excuse me.
With a human body inside of it.
So Kubat brings her around to the chained up mummy, and she's like, what is this? And he's like, this is worth far more than we originally agreed upon. And he puts the amulet back on the mummy, who wakes up. I don't know if it's now, I guess maybe the amulet's like triggered now that the moonlight's touched it. Like immediately,
sure.
Take it off, put it on,
so all you need is the amulet plus moonlight, and you can resurrect any corpse.
Yeah, and the mummy immediately wakes up, and somehow Ravensworth believes this and doesn't just think it's like a guy in a mummy suit.
Guy in a costume, yeah.
And Ravensworth is like, yes, I'll give you all of my money. What are you going to do with this? Like,
and you're going to resurrect an army of the undead to fight what's going on?
What's the plan?
No plan, Danielle.
They finally arrive, kids finally arrive at the factory, and suddenly Gilbert is actually scared, which is like possibly the first time since the beginning of the movie.
So the movie finally remembered that he's a scaredy cat?
Yeah. And he's like, peace out, I can't do this. And Marshall's like, fine, go home. We don't need you anyway.
What? But you gotta have them fight, I guess, before the climax.
Yeah, of course. So they head inside as Gilbert walks off, and the amulet is hanging from it's taken off again, and is hanging from a penguin wing of like a big penguin. And they just,
sure, gotta be a penguin somewhere.
They decide it'll probably reanimate him if they can get that and put it on him. So they're assuming that's probably what's going to happen. It doesn't need moonlight. Meanwhile, Gilbert is talking to himself about his decision, trying to convince himself that he's made the right decision. He finally decides that his friends are in danger, and he can't leave them alone. He's like, talking himself up. He's like, you can do this, Gilbert. Come on.
So now the 12-year-old, after getting the pep talk from his friend at the beginning of the movie, he's getting himself a pep talk.
Yeah.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah. He's learned how to be a big person in a big world. I don't know, Sam. Outside the factory, Buzzy has used some of the haunted house supplies that she had in her car to create a distraction. And the goons are kind of stupid, of course, because they're goons. And no goons are smart.
That's what they're there for, to be stupid.
And they don't seem to think it's weird to see haunted house stuff. And they get easily distracted by this while Marshall goes in to rescue Harold. Unfortunately,
impressive stuff.
I know. Unfortunately, the bad guys managed to collect them all like Pokemon. Like they're just, oh, here's a kid, there's a kid, here's a kid, there's a kid.
Wow,
like,
let's grab them.
Kubat's like, don't worry about all these pesky kids, I'll handle them. The kids tell him that Harold has to go back into the coffin or he'll turn into dust, but they don't believe him. Even though the kids have no reason to lie, and that would be a dumb lie. It's not like they're telling him that they have to take Harold somewhere. They're just like, dude, put him back in the coffin.
Right.
Luckily, Gilbert shows up, and guess what he does, Sam?
Dances.
No.
Uses super strength to kick butt.
No. He Indiana Jones his way in. He, swings in on a rope to collect the
what?
amulet. Obviously.
Crazy.
He's not able to get the amulet to Harold, but he tosses it through the air and wraps it around Harold's neck, waking him up. Amazing skills. Good job, Gilbert. You should, like, go into the NBA or something.
I don't understand.
Is there, like, an NBA version of tossing things into things?
Well, is that the NBA right now?
I think he should go into horseshoes.
Oh, okay. I can see that working too. Sure. Professional horseshoes.
Exactly.
That huge market of professional horseshoes is out there.
The mummy faces off against the goons, but obviously is way stronger. The bad guys try to run away, but unfortunately, the kids have somehow managed to set up an entire trap with their supplies that involves a giant skull flying through the air and crashing into them. When did they
How
do
did they
this?
do all this?
I don't know.
Yeah. This is okay, sure.
I guess it was before they head in there. They set it all up just in case. So they have finally found a phone and called 911, but unfortunately, the coffin is broken.
Oh no.
Cracked, I know. They decide that maybe they could use...
Not the coffin, the anthropoid coffin.
The anthropoid Egyptian coffin is broken.
Oh no, now I understand.
They decide that maybe they can use the anthropoid Egyptian coffin at the museum. It's a reproduction, but it's better than nothing.
Why do they need, again, remind me, what do they need a coffin for? Because they can, like, put him in there and he'll go back to dead?
Yeah, apparently he'll just, like, resort back to his previous self. But if he
so
doesn't, he turns to dust.
murder their friend Harold.
Well, he's going to turn to dust either way. Either he's going to turn to...
So what's the point? What's the stakes? Like, this is what I'm trying to get at here. Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying. Either he disappears entirely, or they can put him into the coffin and he's at least, like... I don't know, back in mummy heaven or whatever.
He's still dead again. He's still going to be with his love anymore. Like, that's my point.
But
Like, the outcome feels the same. Oh, that's so much, like, this is like, people get cremated when they die. Like, is that, like, worse than just being dead?
Sam, I don't know. Maybe they think he's not really dead. He's just, like, in stasis.
Suspended?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the concept.
Well, remind me again. So the mummy can come back to life with the moon and the scare for 3 days.
Yes, so this is the third day.
Why?
Why 3 days?
No, why at all? Like, what is the point of, like, hey,
absolutely
ancient
no
Egyptians
idea.
who made this, like, magic spell on this anthropoid coffin / scarab necklace, we'll let you come back to life for 3 days to accomplish something?
So maybe so that the high priest and the princess could be together in death for a few days. I don't know, Sam. Like,
It doesn't make any sense.
So they could run amok in suburban, whatever.
If he goes back in the coffin, can they, like, bring him back the next day and, like, start the clock over again?
I don't know. Maybe it'll tell us.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, doesn't make any
I
sense.
have questions,
agree.
Danielle.
Valid questions. Don't have an answer. So they run back across town to the Natural History Museum. They somehow manage to get back into town and break into the museum in, like, this very short amount of time, right? They have to do it before midnight, and it's already nighttime.
Sure.
It's already dark outside. Harold, they run over to the Egyptian wing of the museum, and Harold puts the coffin, like, lifts it up into an extra pedestal, but instead of lying down on it, he pushes the princess into the moonlight through the window in the roof.
And brings her to life. Yes,
and
of course.
wakes her up. And they have a touching mummy conversation. They're like,
Oh, okay, I get it. Very touching, yes.
And they remind Harold he has to get into his coffin or he'll die again.
Again. What are the stakes here? And I feel there's, like, I feel like I just don't care. I'm sorry. If it was like,
it's
you have
so
to reunite him with his
Sam.
love,
You're so
or he'll
invested
die.
in the
Yeah.
That would have been a good one. That he had to be like he had to talk.
Reunite
He had to
with
talk.
his
Yeah,
love, or
reunite
that
to
he
him.
turned to dust. Yeah,
then
then they'd be like, the stakes are there, you know.
Yeah, good call, Sam. You should have written the script.
Now it's either you die one way, or you die another way. So flip a coin, I guess.
So he says goodbye to everyone, and Marshall, for some reason, is very attached to him, even though they only spent that one night together.
But he's named after his grandfather.
I know. He likes hot sauce. He was in his movie, his world-famous movie.
A world-famous movie that no one believes is real. I tell you, it's a real documentary. Yeah, I can't, sure it is.
Marshall gives him some hot sauce as a parting gift as well. I guess he just had it in his pocket just in case.
That's going to really forget some anthropologists in the future. Oh, let's get in here.
So the mummies lay down and go back to sleep, which doesn't actually make any sense because Like, they should be awake for 3 days, right? Do they control being able to go back to sleep or waking up? Seems odd to me.
Danielle, none of this makes any sense. We've established that.
Luckily, even though the alarm in the museum, because again, they broke into it, has been going off for several minutes, the kids managed to make it out before the police get there or any security officers.
Oh, yeah. Good job, guys. Really, way to be on top of things here, buddy.
The next morning, the news is talking about the mysterious return of the mummy and the arrest of Kubat. I guess they figured out what Kubat was up to.
Who's they?
The police. I don't know, Sam.
I don't believe those police can figure out anything.
When they showed up at the penguin factory, Penguino's ice cream.
Yeah, sure.
The door rings and Marshall's mom tells him to go answer. It's probably Ted. For some reason...
Again, Marshall's mom has no interest in Marshall at all.
For some reason, Marshall is now totally fine with Ted. He's at a 180.
Because he realizes, I think from Marshall's perspective, he's like, my mom has complete disdain or indifference towards me, so I don't want
Ted
another.
Likes me.
No, I think like his initial reaction to Ted was like, another adult in my life that just ignores me. I don't need that. But he's like, wait, this one actually pays attention to me and it affirms me. I like him now.
Yeah, that's exactly. So he's had a lot
Marshall's
of time to think about it.
the saddest story of the whole movie.
Yeah, he had like a friend, an adult friend in the mummy, and so he's just like come around and realized that maybe it's not going to be so bad. So Marshall invites him to be part of his next movie. It's about a vampire. He's going to go find a real vampire.
Sure.
Ted goes to wash his hands.
No, go to the Monster Squad kids. They got one.
Yeah. Ted goes to wash his hands, and Marshall's mom's like, what's with the sudden change in attitude towards Ted? And Marshall says, well, he makes you happy, right? People who make each other happy should be together. And again, I can only assume it's either your line of thought or because of the mummies finding each other, he's had a change.
Yeah, I think my line of thought's better. He's like, Ted makes me happy. And he's trying to put that, his mom doesn't care about that. So she's like, let me put it in terms she does care about because she's a complete narcissist, only cares about herself.
Yes, that's,
wow,
that's the real story.
I didn't realize this podcast episode turned into a takedown of the mom and under wraps.
We have some real issues with parents in our media.
To be fair, parents in like children's media are often portrayed as not very good, so the kids can go have like adventures or growth or whatever.
Absolutely. So the kids, final scene, Sam. We're wrapping this up. Ayo.
Like a mummy, yeah.
The kids meet up at school later that morning, and Amy's just full of excitement because she's been accepted into the student newspaper and has decided she actually likes the town after all. Gilbert suggests they all go see Warhead together, which shocks the other two. And then we cut to the museum, where a security guard is checking the exhibits. Apparently there are security guards, Sam.
Well, we would not have known that from the previous scene.
Whereas security guard's checking the exhibits, and Harold's arm pops out of his coffin and puts up a "The End" sign. He's holding the sign that says "The End." There you go.
How did what is the hand sign for "The End"?
Nope, he's managed to find a "The End" sign.
Yeah, that happened. That was a movie. I don't know, Daniel. I think I've heard better DCOMs from you, I'll be honest.
And imagine, this is the remake of the original. What I am very sad about is the original 1997 movie has a scene, if I recall correctly, it has been a few years since I've seen it, but has a scene where where Harold turns on All By Myself, that song, and he's like crooning it as he's upset about the fact that he can't be with his princess. And they took that out of the scene, and that's a real shame.
It is a real shame. I think it was like in the future, you have to find a version of that and do a comparison.
Yeah.
Breakdown at some point.
Really similar plot line, Sam. Almost identical.
Great.
Just with more white people.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so there we go.
Well, there you go. Under wraps, Danielle. Thank you for yet another DCOM in this spectacular Spook Retorts in Spring episode.
Spook Retorts in Spring. That should be a thing. Love that for us.
Well, we make the rules here, Danielle. We can just do that.
I mean, I've done Spook Retorts in January a couple times. So, we should just every 3 to 4 months, we should have a Spook Retorts.
Well, for you, it'd be every week if you could, right?
No, I have to intersperse it with my rom-coms and Asian dramas, and the people want what the people want, Sam.
Well, I don't know what the people want, but if they want to help support us in our latest endeavor, rescuing children from indifferent mothers by giving them better step-parents.
That is a big promise.
It's like a dating service. Basically, we match your disaffected parent with one of our step-parents who actually wants to be your parent.
Isn't there an 80s movie where people pick out new parents?
Yeah, I remember that one. They go to like a mom store and they train their mom.
Yeah, like that. That's what we're going to set up, everybody.
Yeah, but it's only more insidious because like catfishing your mom to get you a good parent. So if you want to support that endeavor, you can do so at patreon.com/bookretorts.
You can also message us at Blue Sky at BookRetort.
And until next time, I guess never underestimate the power of a dancing mummy.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. All those dancing mummies you see, don't underestimate them.
And watch out for abandoned ice cream factories with penguins as mascots. Yeah.
2 solid lessons from this movie. The only lessons you can take from the guy. All right. Well, until next time, bye.
Take care, everybody.
Hold on, I got both an ice cream truck and another plane.
I want ice cream. Oh, it sounds so good.
You can get ice cream, Danielle. You're an adult.
I know. Nobody should give me adult powers. What were they thinking? I want like ice cream bar, like out of a container.
I saw some of that loaded pretzel ice cream.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's real good.
I've been meaning to buy that, but I haven't seen it anywhere.
Yeah, it's real good. It's real worth it.
Oh, I bet it is. I love pretzels with sweet things, like chocolate-covered pretzels. So good. My shirt smells good.
Okay. Anyway, I think we're good.
So,
I think I'm going to have to put the shirt smells good in there somewhere.
That was the wildest series of conversations. We like, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. My shirt smells good.
Danielle, your brain is like parkour all the time.